Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Mycrodex, where Pokemon are Fungimon. Fungimon or Pokemon? Yeah, I'm still working on the intro, but yeah. We are heading back into our fungal slants to bring out some cultures from years past. We're going to be reintroducing the Ganoderma ravenelli again. The plates that I tried to isolate the Ganoderma ravenelli from before just didn't come out very clean, and I think the bacteria took over, and I tried some trapdooring and a few different things, but I decided to return to the original slant to see if there is any of the original sample there, or if it just was lost to time, because that slant is from 2022, I think. Yeah, and then we're going to be taking some samples from Panis contratus, Ganoderma polychromum, and also Ganoderma curtisi. Most of these were foraged by myself, especially that umbra there. That's umbra. You can see that on my website, mycrodex.com. I was really proud of finding this one because it's kind of hard to find curtisi around here on the East Coast, at least in my experience. And I got a sample from an old plate, and I brought it back recently, but this sample came from a wild specimen that I found in someone's backyard a long time ago when I was still doing dog training. I was dropping a dog off to their owner, and I saw a really old stump in the neighbor's backyard, not even the customer I was serving. And I was like, oh man, that looks kind of crazy. I could tell it was reishi, but it was so far away that really couldn't tell what exactly it was until one day I saw them coming out of the house walking their dog while I was dropping off the customer's dog. And I was like, do you mind if I look at that stump in your backyard? And I gave them the whole spiel, I'm a mycologist, sampling stuff. And they said it was fine. I went back there and I was blown away, and it was Ganoderma curtisi, and that thing was like fully purple. If you've been following for a while, you remember that was last year, I think. 2020. No, it was 2025. But yeah, it happened not too long ago, and I'm still pretty hyped about it. I got a few grows out of that, and then I slanted it away, but we're bringing it back because it has unique compounds that we want to use in some of our extractions, and also because it looks really cool when you grow it out. And it looks like that's the first one that we're going to be tackling today. We're just going to be making more plates so that we can eventually upgrade it up to grain spawn. And once we have grain spawn of this, we're going to go wild with it because it's a pretty aggressive fruiter. It's very beautiful. It looks amazing. I recently made a reishi antler video on Reels, or on Shorts here on YouTube. And it was just one of the short form content that I put out, and I was showing off some of the petrified reishi that I've made recently. I meant to release this video before that one, but I didn't do the voiceover in time. Been, struggling to keep up with the voiceover, so I'm switching my my methods over for creating the content, as I've been mentioning pretty often, just letting you guys know that you are going to see some changes. And I'm looking at the feedback for these different videos, and I notice what you guys are starting to like, so I'll be trending more towards that, and it makes it easier to be able to streamline the content. So I don't want to sit around waiting for the content to when I have to break it up into recording and then doing a voiceover, it's so time consuming. So I'm trying to have everything in the video at once. So I'll probably be talking the video after this one, which I already recorded. Actually just recorded that one, and now I'm doing the voiceover for this one to catch myself back up. All right, you see we got our first transfer there. That is of the polychromum. Or sorry, that's umbra, aka Ganoderma curtisi. We nicknamed it umbra because of the purple hues in the shell of the fungi itself. It's pretty cool. And sometimes it shows up on plate. I think it's like when the sun hits it, it turns purple. This can be found in a few reishi, and I'm wondering what chemical that is that oxidizes into a purple color, because I would love to be able to use that in textiles or something, like paint or anything. I think it would just be really cool color, because you don't see purple too often. Like blue is rare enough in nature, but purple, I would say just as much. It's kind of like a hue of blue. It's like blue and red. But yeah, we got our transfers of that one done, and now we're going back to that's the actual polychromum plate. I already made some transfers off of that, and I sent it straight to grain, and those are almost done. And so I'm just making plate backups, because I do owe someone a plate of reishi, and I'll be sending that off to them. And I'll probably end up sending him this polychromum here, because it's so reliable. I've had it for years now. It's like super good. We're just sterilizing this blade here, as we always do before we handle our species. Got the plate up top, and just gotta make sure I'm going in the right one. So here I'm cooling down that blade, and not sure if you could hear it, but it definitely like sizzled in the gel there, and that's gonna bring it down to a nice temperature for me to cut. And you don't have to do that. If you touch your blade to the hot agar, and then that spot contaminates later, you'll know that the blade wasn't sterile enough, because it's still had contamination. But that pretty much never happens, because I'm making sure that thing's glowing red hot. I like that visual cue of it being really hot, so that I know for sure, without guessing, without any play, that is a definitely sterile dish, because I care about this work a lot, and I don't want to take any chances. There we go. Boom. Got that into the dish easily. All right. And I think we're doing 3 of this one as well, because I wanted to put one away, send one out, and then also have one extra, as I like to do. Always got to have some extra stuff. And we're just going to place that on the plate. Now, all of these reishi I'm bringing out because I don't know how, but I haven't been growing them recently, and I used to have like way too many. So I think I just grew all of them out. I harvested. I had like a few pounds of like dried reishi, and then I just kind of like made room for lion's mane, because I eat so much that I have to like intentionally grow some for the products that I make over on mycrodex.com. My extractions, especially, those are like really, really potent, and I like to make them really strong, so people have a good experience with lion's mane. And then, it also has reishi in it too, for those anti-inflammatory properties, and I use that daily. It's super good for you. I actually didn't take any the last couple of days. I should probably do that. I'm like, oh, why am I a little slower on the thinking today? And it's usually because I missed my lion's mane regimen. But I put lion's mane in pretty much all my food. All the stuff I create is usually just for me, and then I make products as well for anyone who's interested. I try to make products that people don't have access to. And the extraction is really good for people who are busy like me, who want to have nutrient-dense food but are always on the go. You can always keep this with you. So if you guys are interested in something like that, definitely check out the website, mycrodex.com. I have another version of these extracts called Ultima, where I take a bunch of different exotic gourmet fungi, and I put them all in one extraction, and it's a little more expensive because it's lots of different species in one, but it's also really dense in nutrient, and it really keeps it keeps you like in shape, make sure you get those nutrients. Each version of Ultima are different fungi, and in the version 1, the V1 Ultima, I had cordyceps in there, and that was honestly like my very, very favorite extraction that I ever made, because when you take it, you feel it like immediately. The cordyceps really like get your blood flowing, literally, and they help with maintaining oxygen in the body. So yeah, and with the training that I do, working out and doing like flips and stuff, which we'll get into eventually, just for recovery, it's amazing. I recently hit my big toe, my foot against the ground. I pretty much kicked the floor, and I've been using reishi to really calm that down, because the swelling was pretty bad on the first day, and then once I really like threw everything at it, I was pretty good on the second day. Like I went from limping to being pretty good. All right, we're actually finishing up these plates here, just spraying them down. I don't like to use plates more than twice, because of potential contamination that might arise from opening and closing so many times and playing with it. But I like to keep them around, especially like the reishi and stuff. Like they're so aggressive that they're not really going to contaminate all that well, because they have an immune system, and the immune system of reishi is very, very proactive. It's always active, so can usually get a lot of use out of one plate. And here we go, 9/30/22. That's 2022. We're gonna dip back into this one, and honestly, if the transfers out of this aren't good, then I'm just gonna toss this and try to get another Ganoderma ravenelli. I don't know of anyone that has a culture of it, but I'll look around. If you are watching this and you have a Ganoderma ravenelli genetic, I would love to get that from you. That would be sick, man. That would be so sick, because it has a very unique pattern. Shout out to Flesh Crusher over on Instagram, doing his thing. He was the one that introduced me to this strain, and it was like one of the first one. Like I was so privileged back then to be able to grow that, because it's just an amazing. Its pattern is really cool. It throws off some really cool colors. And it's one of those reishi that's more yellow than red. Like it really wants to throw yellows. It wants to like grow in between the cuts and everything. It's so cool. So I'm like surgically taking the sample off of the slant, and what I'm holding there is like, it's just like the agar dish, but it's in a tube, and there's also a wooden stick in there. That's how it has that structure. And I'm so determined to like get whatever is in there, whatever was originally in there. I took the whole sample out, and I took the very tip that wouldn't be touching the air. I took the very tip off of there to see if maybe the mycelium is way over there. But we'll see. It's a really old slant. Like I said, not surprised that it's there or not there. It's just a matter of like checking on it. Usually I would want to like redo all my slants within a year's time or a couple years. Definitely not pushing 2 years if you care about it. And I also am about to take everything out of my fridge, all 50 plus of my cultures, and I'm regrowing everything, and I'm going to keep all of it on spore. So I'll have spores of everything. They won't be sterile, so it'll take work to actually grow them out. It'll make everything a lot more intentional, because having liquid cultures of everything is just like, it's like you don't need that kind of convenience when you're not going to be growing it for like a year. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all the transfers for this. We moved some Panis conchatus. We moved the Ravenelli. We moved Polychromum. And we moved the Ganoderma Curtisi in this video. So now I'm just labeling, putting dates on everything so we can check in on it later. And that's it for this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I have another video coming right after this really soon to keep you guys nice and informed on what's been going on. I'll talk to you guys soon. Just sprint everything down, making sure it's all good, and I will talk to you later.